Okay, so this is Ryan Michael Galloway. The guy behind the camera is Ryan Michael Galloway, and in front of the camera is Ron Logan. You can reach Ron Logan at ronlogan@yahoo.com. You can find me at my website, we don't need no stinking record company.com. And Ron and I have been talking home studio.
Yeah.
And, getting great stuff done with relatively rudimentary things. I say that, though, he's had a lot of fun just adding all kinds of add-ons that have made it better. But I think as a good photographer could do a great picture with a box camera, I think we could have probably had a half of what we had and got a really good recording, Ron. What do you think?
Probably. A lot of the stuff that's here, I guess if you want to start panning around.
Let's give them a little tour of this particular setup. And, I have got friends out there with home studios that look really, really flashy and slick, and nothing gets done there. So this one we really have worked in. It might be a little bit messy, but it's what we're dealing with.
Yeah. All right.
And so over here,
a small set of digital drums picked up. And then if you move back, I guess, into that corner, I've got a small bass amp and a guitar amp and a guitar collection, guitar and basses.
Over here is an important piece of equipment.
That's the headphone amp. Yes.
There you go. That drives our headphones so we can hear back what we've been recording and sync up with it.
The big boom with the $150 Behringer mic, which has done wonderfully down through the years.
Now, let's tell them what that big circular thing is.
That's a windscreen to keep from popping your peas when you sing to the mic.
Which means you can sing on this side pretty darn close.
Yeah, and the wind blast won't.
Yeah.
From your breath won't.
Now, an interesting plug-in you have is something that changes the sound of microphones to the sound of far more expensive mics sometimes.
Yeah, that's a possibility too. It recreates the sounds. Now, this rack over here is all my MIDI gear, basically. The top thing there is a sampler. Then the two small. That's a ESI sampler. That's right.
Okay.
And then the two small units on the next level is a nano bass, which is a couple hundred different bass sounds.
Wow.
And a nano piano. Again, a couple hundred different piano sounds.
Are these new? I don't recall.
No, these have always been there.
Okay.
And then Vintage Keys, which is a collection of old organs and clavinets and Rhodes pianos.
And none of this stuff's particularly new, but I got to tell you, it's awful effective.
Yeah, all the modules are at least 10 years old, most of them. Then there's an Alesis S4 module, which is once again multiple sounds.
Which, by the way, means you can pick these up on Craigslist.
Oh yeah.
Or
for $150 sometimes. Yeah. The Alesis drum modules, I use those for the drum sounds once we program in the MIDI patterns.
That's this one?
Stuff. That's both of those. Both are drum modules. And then just another multi-timbre module, Kawai this time. A Roland module. So I've got Roland and Alesis and...
What's the Roland do?
That's another multi-timbral sound module.
Meaning?
It can do different sounds. It's got about 600 patches built into it.
So you can drive it with a keyboard, with drums?
With a keyboard, or the MIDI program can drive it up
to
16 different tracks. That's an old Oberheim analog synth that I had back in my live rig back in the 80s.
Why do you need a mixer, Ron?
Well, I wanted to get a pretty good sized mixer because I was basically MIDI guy, so I wanted to be able to take all the MIDI outputs from all these modules and bring them in and be able to mix them.
Okay.
So
mix them before they came down to one channel.
Right. Yeah. So it just for flexibility, and then we also use the preamps in here to drive the microphone. Up here, a DAT recorder, a CD recorder, turntable cassettes. The compressor I use for going in. This is a motif rack, which is another keyboard module.
Mm-hmm. Kind of handy to have a boombox to see what your stuff sounds like on that.
Yeah, yeah. And then the computer screen, powered monitors on either side here.
Okay. And what are the ones on top?
Those are just old phase linear home monitors. I got those hooked up to a home stereo.
Again, so you can hear what
it sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah, different systems.
Okay, the computer screen, computer over here, which is just an old P4, unit. A master keyboard for putting in MIDI notes and MIDI parts, and drum machine here, and that's pretty much it.
Can we show them? If this'll, I think this'll record. Show them. Can you show them something with some tracks? Okay, so here you got a mixture of MIDI and audio tracks. The audio is actually, you can actually see the wave. Let's see if I can zoom in. I don't know if this is going to strobe on here or not. Yeah, you can actually see what the wave looks like, and of course you can cut and paste and do all kinds of stuff within that. And the music, the tracks are stacked from top to bottom, and the music plays from left to right. For those of you that aren't familiar with this kind of thing, so
and you can see they're labeled here: piano, bass, farfisa, organ, disco strings, solo violin,
and what
marching orchestra,
what
hand
does that
organ.
far column to the left, the ones with the sliders on it, do?
These are volume and pan faders that I can just do. I can pan things and without having to open up a mixer screen.
Now you can do a mixer screen too,
Yeah.
and that allows you to get a little bit more refined in your mix, and also to automate the mix, right?
Yes, and you can also do automation in here too, turning things up and down and on and off, and turning effects on and off.
By automation, I mean that when it gets to that part of the song, it'll turn that instrument down for you once you made a pass or two. That's really handy, so you don't have to remember every single
Right.
little thing.
And then a MIDI track. Here's the bass track. These are the notes. Let me see if I can blow that up a little bit.
You don't really have to read music to do this, but
See the keyboard on the side here?
Yeah.
And that's showing you what note is being played.
and for how long, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So each one of these, I don't know if it'll sound or not. Let me see. No, I don't have it hooked up properly right now.
Yeah, it's okay.
But editing, of course, if you play a bad note, you can just grab the note and move it. Oops, okay, wherever it needs to be, or extend it if it starts in the wrong place. You can move it sideways. Oh, that was late. Let's put that back where it's supposed to be. See, if it's supposed to start on the beat.
Yeah.
So MIDI editing is a huge help just for tightening things up.
And just to remind everybody, what's happening in a MIDI situation is these signals are triggering an outboard or inboard plug-in of some kind that creates the sound. It's just being created, it's being triggered electronically. It takes a whole lot less memory for the computer to do the work.
Now each channel on these, and this is kind of typical, okay, if you open up the screen here, has 8 effects ends, 4 inserts. We were talking about gates and compression. Each channel in this program has gating and compression. And then you can also have a 4-band EQ for each, parametric EQ for each channel. So and that's pretty typical in most of the programs. So most of the programs start out with you having the basics there.
So, Ron, that was a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I imagine you have to know every single one of those inside and out before you can record something.
Sort
Wrong,
of.
right?
Well, you need to know it's there, and then okay, what would sound good on this part? Is that's a string part? So then you start shuffling through all the different string sounds you have. Oh, okay, this one works. All right, let's use that one. Yeah, but
Or whether you might need a plug-in or not. I mean,
Yeah.
here's the example I give is that I fly planes, as you know, and there's a lot of instrumentation on an airplane. But when I'm flying around and not in weather, I use maybe 3 or 4. I use an altimeter, and airspeed, and that's the main things that I use. And the rest of it is kind of just there. I got a feeling we could get at least some basic, recordings of guitar and vocals and stuff like
Sure.
that without having to know every little thing. And you can learn as you go along, like we did, right?
Exactly. Yeah, the basics are, I have this sound and I want it to go here. That's the basics.
And what's the path to get it there?
To get it there, yeah. There's a microphone. Put that microphone in front of that amp and record it to here. Okay, now that sound is here. What do I do with it? I put other sounds with it. It's really no more complicated than that. Yeah.
One of the things, I think, if you guys don't know how to do this, and you want to learn how to do it, is get with somebody like Ron and sit down and watch him work for a little while, or do a project with him so that you can kind of ask questions about how he goes through what he does. Particularly somebody like Ron, who's so willing to talk and give and explain what he's doing if you need to know. And then as you build up, you can move over to your own setup if you need to. Well, Ron, first of all, thanks for all your fantastic work over the years for me, and thanks for spending some time with me and my viewers to explain some of it to you. I thought our synergy and chemistry would be good here because we work so much together. We know what each other's doing. We got to the point where we can almost read each other's mind on retakes and all kinds of things. So that's a great relationship to have. I'm glad I got it with you. So,
Click, that was bad. I know. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, well, there you go. I'm Ryan Michael Galloway. We don't need no stinkingrecordcompany.com. I've been talking to Ron Logan, and you can reach Ron if you want to ask him any questions or whatever at ronlogan@yahoo.com. No dots, no lines, no spaces, just that. So, well, .com, of course.
Yeah. That's the dot. Okay. Cool.
Thanks again.
You're welcome. All right.